Welcome to the Vibrant Living Podcast. This is where we talk about living vibrantly, aligned in spirit, soul, and your life. Not powering through with willpower alone, not fighting against the way you may be wired, but learning how to work with the way God designed us. And if we haven't met, I am Donna Tashjian, your host. Today, we are stepping into a conversation that so many people quietly need. Have you ever wondered, why is this so hard for me? Why can't I just follow through? Why does my brain seem to work differently than everyone else? Well, my guest today is Jennifer McFarland, and she has spent years working with people through those exact questions. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Jennifer is an author, a speaker, an ADHD advocate, a TFT tapping practitioner. She is the founder of Monarch Dawn, where she helps people heal from the past, create a plan for success in the future. Her framework, Custom Made Change, is about learning to rule your day, not by willpower, but by understanding how your mind and your nervous system actually function. For over 12 years of experience of tapping and trauma-formed work, Jennifer creates space for people to release lingering pain and step into sustainable change. Jennifer, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So, where do you live in the world?
I'm in Brighton, Michigan. I was born, raised, and stayed in the Michigan, lovely Mitten State.
Yes, it is a lovely place. I am also in Michigan, so that doesn't often happen for me that we're in the same area. Tell us a little bit about you and your life, and then I'd love you to share about what your mission is.
Well, like I said, I was born and raised here. I started a family pretty early, so right now my three kids are all grown adults running their own lives. And after I worked my way out of my stay-at-home mom job, I looked at working with other women like me who find out they don't, that they do have ADHD, but they don't find out until they're adults.
Mm.
So that became my big focus because of how underserved that population is and how many difficult things had to figure out for myself. So I'd like to be able to pass that on
Mhm.
so other people can get back to their enjoying their lives sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. And what are some of the things you would like to talk about today? What are some of the biggest challenges that are facing these women that find out later in life?
I think probably the number one biggest challenge is uh, the stigma and shame that is around asking if even asking if you have ADHD. Is it real? What does that mean for me? Am I just looking for a label?
Mhm.
And I think that's true of any challenge for people that have a lot of unknowns around something that they're going through. And the next biggest thing is giving yourself grace to work through that process.
Yeah. Neurodivergency is so much more common or accepted, a common knowledge meaning, not that it's all of a sudden, but there's more knowledge about it. Why do you think that there's still shame attached to that? Is it the unknown or is it something deeper?
Uh, Originally, it was considered a behavior condition, and
Oh,
that if you could just get the right information and have that reinforced long enough that you would sort of magically grow out of it or mature out of it.
mhm.
And it hasn't been until the last maybe 10, 15 years that they've really recognized that this is actually a neurodevelopmental condition that makes your brain and your brain wiring different. in the actual structures and the function. So you're not going to outgrow how your brain is built. It's not a behavior condition, but it seems like it is.
Mhm.
So a lot of times you're just sort of given the idea that you're just not trying hard enough,
Mm.
because if you're not neurodivergent, these things do come easily to you if you try at them.
Okay.
And you do grow out of some of the behaviors that are easily seen in ADHD.
Okay. I think in general, and I'm going to generalize here for a second, that women are easy to have some type of shame because we should just be able to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and I don't know about men, but I definitely know women feel that way, and we don't always ask for help real well. And then if we ask the quote wrong person and they create these kind of scenarios you're talking about, then it just amplifies it that I just need to get my crap together kind of a feeling instead
Mm-hmm.
of. So what are some of the ways that uh, ADHD is reflected in a woman adult, maybe later on in life? What are some of the ways that that would look?
A lot of For women, the symptoms tend to be internalized
Okay.
versus something that you can see a behavior based.
Okay.
I think that women are kind of culturally expected to control their behavior a lot more, so that is reinforced in everything. So everything is going on internally. So you might look like you have everything together on the outside, but inside you're always very scared that you're going to mess something up. You're anxious. You have to have high anxiety about everything you do, otherwise things fall through the cracks. So women are living on this like high anxiety sort of uh, baseline that they don't even recognize isn't natural for most people. Um, and there's a lot of sort of beating yourself up. If you find that you really struggle with remembering all the details, getting everything written down properly or remembering it right. If you find that time gets away from you very easily, that can be an indication of some neurodivergence going on. If you have if you're generally messy
Mm.
and that's just sort of your baseline, that can be an indication because ADHD runs on visual stimulus very often. So you leave everything out so you can see it and remember it, because out of sight is literally out of mind.
Okay.
So it seems maybe cluttered or messy, but you're just trying to make sure you don't forget anything or, lose anything. So there's lots of little nuances that are different for women than men. Um, but sort of a quiet chaos behind the facade is
Mhm.
a is really common.
And women are so good at saying we're okay when we're not okay. So we kind of,
Hmm.
that's just like our MO, you know. And um, I, somewhere along the line, when I was doing more my inner healing stuff, is we say we're fine. And it was taught in the program I was working through what fine, an acronym for it, was freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. And across the board, I think we could all say we were fine at some point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
At least that definition. So, yes. Um, Understanding, I have an autistic granddaughter, so understanding neurodivergency has been a journey for us as a family and understanding what it is. And the other thing that's really um, just because you and the woman next to you both have this, it can look different. It can have some
Hmm.
different out the way that it works in your body because everybody is so unique in that aspect too. So I think that helps with the confusion as far as diagnosis as well, because it isn't a cookie cutter kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Even when I ask you to describe to me, it wasn't easy to just say, this is what it is. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you have a cough, you got a cough. It's like you can't do it that quite simply, which creates
Mm-hmm.
more confusion and more fear in
Mm-hmm.
that whole process. So, if a woman listening to us today saw some of these possibilities to explain how she's feeling on the inside, what should she do next?
Well, that that kind of depends on what your goal is. If you think, man, I'm pretty sure, and I would like to seek treatment, then the next step would be finding someone to give you an evaluation or assessment. A neuropsychologist is like the top of the line type of assessment where they ask you questions about your life, but they also do cognitive testing. And so it's more than just sort of a self-assessment questionnaire. But
Okay.
there's a whole kind of range of different assessments. If you're just like, I would like to make my environment better for me, then doing some just going to the library and getting out a couple books or audiobooks can be really helpful just to give you some ideas of how different people have come up with accommodations for themselves. Because those things you can do today for free, but we don't always recognize that that's an option because it's different from what we're told to expect. And YouTube is also a really great resource. I always recommend Dr. Russell Barkley. He's a long-term ADHD expert and researcher. He's got a great YouTube channel that gives you really up-to-date fact-based information.
Mhm.
And How to ADHD by Jessica McCabe is also a really nice. She gives a lot of good education, but she also gives a lot of really great tips and ideas of how to manage and accommodate life right where you are, how to set things up so that they're easier for you, and also education on like this is why you're doing or this is why this might be so hard, and here's really practical ways to then address that.
Great. Well, we'll put those links and names in the show notes and descriptions so that you can click on those and access that information. And what are some of the resources that you could provide for people too?
Um, I I have a few things. I, like mentioned, I'm a TFT tapping practitioner, which can help with your emotional well-being.
Hmm.
One of the things I didn't mention is that a lot of neurodivergence comes with big emotions. You might have been told you're too sensitive or you're too much your whole life. Um, and those emotions can really get overwhelming. I have a lot of resources within tapping that I can help you deal with experiences from the past that are still kind of tripping you up now, but also proactive exercises that you can use to handle your day on a day-to-day basis to make things easier for you to work through that emotional time. It doesn't stop you from having the big emotions. It just makes it so you can be in charge of how you express them.
Yes.
I also teach a system that helps you create consistent action towards a goal. So it helps you if you want to do something new,
Hmm.
like I want to write a book or I want to run a marathon or I want to have a really rock solid morning self-care routine. It can be any goal really. And it helps you have a customized system to support yourself doing consistent action for that goal every day.
Great. And how can people reach out to you?
Probably the two of the best ways are my email or on my LinkedIn profile. So I'm just under Jennifer McFarland on LinkedIn, and it's monarchdawn.jen@gmail for email.
Okay. Perfect. We'll include those links as well.
Thank
And
you.
as we get ready to wrap up our conversation today, what is the main thing that you would love to leave with the women today?
I would like every woman to start giving themselves more grace,
Mm,
regardless of what you think is going on in your life. Really cultivate a practice of taking good care of yourself and your kind of inner conversation. Say nice things to yourself.
mhm,
Make sure you are really realistic about the things that are going on. Don't beat yourself up because that doesn't help you actually get better. But being kind and compassionate towards yourself does make a big difference in making progress in the things that are important to you. So lead with grace.
Be kind and lead with grace. That's a great way to wrap up our conversation today. Thank you, Don. I started to call you Don. Thank you, Jennifer, thank you, Jennifer, for all that you do to help women to eliminate shame and to come from more of a place of peace and healing. And it is a big task to take on, and you've been sharing your light. So keep shining radiantly because I'm watching if no one else is. And so
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to share and your encouragement personally. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
you're very welcome. So many people have carried around quiet shame around the things that were never really character flaws. They were patterns, they were protection actually, and when it's the way our brains are wired differently. So if today's conversation helped you breathe, take a breath and don't rush past that. Relief is information, and maybe the next step isn't to try harder, but maybe it's to understand yourself more gently. If you've been fighting your focus, fighting follow through, maybe your habits or even your past, whatever season finds you in, stop fighting and start aligning. Because awareness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And wisdom is where change begins. So if you're ready for deeper clarity, healing the roots, or alignment in this next chapter, I would love to walk this journey with you and to have a conversation. You can connect with me and stay abreast of all the upcoming Vibrant Living events at ivibrantliving.com. You can also find other free resources and ways to connect with me. So until next time, be kind to yourself, be curious, and keep living vibrantly. Bye for now.